a state steeped in history, where the past doesn't just whisper, it screams. Maryland, USA, a land of rolling hills, colonial relics, and secrets that cling to the shadows. From blood-soaked battlefields to forsaken asylums, there are places here where the air feels wrong. Places where footsteps echo when no one's there. Places where the dead don't rest easy. Today, we're diving into the 30 most haunted places in Maryland. From the ghostly soldiers still fighting at Antietam National Battlefield, to the chilling legends of the Goat Man stalking Fletchertown Road, to the restless spirits lingering in the Edgar Allan Poe house. These aren't just stories, they're nightmares etched into the very soil of this state. Some say these places are cursed, others say they're portals to something far worse. One thing's for sure, once you step foot in these haunted grounds, you might not leave alone. So grab a flashlight, steel your nerves, and let's step into the darkness. Because in Maryland, the past is always watching. 1. Antietam National Battlefield. Antietam National Battlefield, Sharpsburg, Maryland. September 17, 1862. The single bloodiest day in American history. Over 22,000 soldiers, Union and Confederate, fell in a brutal clash that soaked these fields in crimson. The air still feels heavy here, like the weight of all those lost souls never left. This isn't just a battlefield, it's a graveyard, and some say the dead are still fighting. Visitors to Antietam don't just walk through history, they walk through a nightmare. The stories here aren't campfire tales. They're raw, unshakable, and they cling to you like damp earth. Let's dive into the terrifying truths of this haunted ground. Bloody Lane, a sunken road where 5,500 men were cut down in hours, is the heart of Antietam's horror. Visitors report hearing shouts, desperate, guttural cries of, "Forward, boys!" Even when the fields are empty, one park ranger, closing up at dusk, swore he saw a line of spectral soldiers marching in perfect formation down the lane, their bayonets glinting in the moonlight. He froze, heart pounding, as their hollow eyes turned toward him. Then in a blink, they vanished. Locals say the regiment is doomed to relive their final charge, forever trapped in the slaughter. Burnside Bridge, where Union troops fought through a hail of bullets, is a hotspot for the paranormal. Hikers at dawn have reported hearing agonized screams echoing from the creek below, as if the wounded are still crying out for help. One camper, staying too late near the bridge, felt an icy hand grip his shoulder. He spun around, nothing. But as he fled, he heard footsteps splashing through the water, chasing him until he reached the road. Some say it's the ghosts of soldiers, desperate to escape the bridge they died defending. The cornfield, where bodies once lay stacked like cordwood, is home to a particularly heartbreaking spirit. Visitors report hearing a faint drumbeat, erratic and weak, coming from the tall grass. Legend tells of a young drummer boy, barely a teenager, who fell in the chaos. In 2015, a photographer capturing the field at sunrise heard the drumming and followed it. She found nothing but a small, tattered drum lying in the dirt, no one around for miles. When she reached for it, the drum vanished, and a child's voice whispered, "Stay." She ran and never returned. Dunker Church, a small sanctuary caught in the crossfire, is said to be cursed by its desecration. Visitors report seeing strange, glowing orbs floating around the church at night, like lanterns carried by unseen hands. In 2008, a group of ghost hunters recorded eerie moans coming from inside the locked church. When they played back the audio, they heard a voice chanting, "No peace, no peace." Some believe it's the spirits of soldiers who sought refuge in the church, only to be gunned down, their souls forever restless. Perhaps the most chilling tale comes from a park visitor in 2020. While walking near the observation tower at dusk, she saw a lone soldier in a tattered Confederate uniform, standing motionless in the field. Thinking he was a reenactor, she called out. He turned, his face pale and bloodied, eyes empty. She screamed as he walked toward her, then dissolved into the air. Rangers say he's a common sight, a sentinel who doesn't know the war's over, forever guarding his post. Antietam National Battlefield isn't just a place. It's a portal to a war that never ended. The ground here pulses with pain, and the spirits demand to be heard. If you visit, tread lightly. Because at Antietam, You're never truly alone. 2. Point Lookout Lighthouse. Point Lookout Lighthouse, Maryland's southernmost tip, where the Potomac River meets the Chesapeake Bay. Once a beacon for sailors, this isolated tower was also a Civil War prison camp, Camp Hoffman, where over 52,000 Confederate soldiers were held in brutal conditions. Disease, starvation, and despair claimed nearly 4,000 lives here. The ground is soaked in suffering, and the lighthouse, it's a magnet for the restless dead. This isn't just a haunted place. It's a screaming void of anguish that refuses to let go. Locals avoid this place after dark. Visitors who dare to come report things that can't be explained. Shadows that move without a source, voices that beg for release, and a presence that watches from the lantern room. Let's dive into the bone-chilling stories that make Point Lookout Lighthouse one of Maryland's most haunted places. Story 1. The Screaming Prisoners. During the Civil War, Camp Hoffman was a living nightmare, overcrowded, filthy, and riddled with disease. Visitors today swear they hear the prisoners' agony echoing across the peninsula. In 2003, a group of paranormal investigators recorded hours of audio near the lighthouse. When they played it back, they were stunned to hear guttural moans and cries of, "Help us!" in voices that weren't there during the session. One investigator felt a sudden, icy grip on his arm, leaving red marks that lingered for days. Locals say the prisoners' spirits are trapped, reliving their torment in an endless loop. Story 2. The Keeper Who Never Left. The lighthouse's first keeper, James Taylor, died under mysterious circumstances in the 1870s, but some say he's still on duty. Visitors report hearing heavy boots climbing the spiral staircase at night, even when the tower is locked. In 1998, a park ranger checking the lighthouse after hours saw a man in an old-fashioned keeper's uniform standing at the top of the stairs, staring down with hollow eyes. The ranger called out, but the figure turned and vanished into the lantern room. When he checked, the room was empty, but the air was so cold his breath fogged. They say Taylor's spirit guards the light, forever bound to his post. Story 3. The Ghost of Ann Davis. Ann Davis, the wife of a later keeper, is another spirit tied to Point Lookout. Legend says she died of grief after losing her child to the harsh conditions of the peninsula. Visitors report seeing a woman in a long, tattered dress wandering the shore, clutching a lantern and calling out a name no one can quite make out. In 2010, a tourist snapped a photo of the lighthouse at dusk and later noticed a faint, translucent figure of a woman in the frame, her face twisted in sorrow. Those who've heard her voice say, "It's not just sad, it's a wail that pierces your soul, begging for her lost child." Story 4. The Scratching in the Walls. The lighthouse's interior is a maze of oppressive rooms, and visitors often feel watched. In 2015, a group of ghost hunters spent the night inside and heard relentless scratching from behind the walls, like nails clawing at wood. They followed the sound to the basement, where it grew louder, accompanied by a low, guttural whisper saying, "Get out." One hunter felt a sharp tug on her hair, but no one was behind her. The group fled, later learning that the basement was used to store bodies during the prison camp's worst days. Some believe the spirits of those who died are trapped in the walls, desperate to escape. Story 5. The Phantom Soldier's Warning. Perhaps the most chilling tale comes from a fisherman in 2021 casting nets near the lighthouse at dawn. He noticed a soldier in a tattered Confederate uniform standing on the rocky shore, staring out at the bay. Thinking it was a reenactor, he waved, only for the soldier to turn, his face gaunt and eyeless, and point directly at him. The fisherman froze as the figure whispered, "Leave or stay forever." Terrified, he stumbled back, and the soldier vanished into the mist. Locals say this phantom warns intruders to flee, protecting the peninsula's secrets, or condemning them to join the dead. Point Lookout Lighthouse isn't just haunted. It's cursed by the weight of thousands of lost lives. The wind carries their screams, the walls hold their pain, and the spirits demand to be remembered. If you visit, don't linger too long, because at Point Lookout, the dead don't like company. 3. Maryland State House. Maryland State House, Annapolis, Maryland. The oldest state capitol in continuous legislative use, standing proud since 1772. This grand building isn't just the heart of Maryland's government. It's a stage for history's darkest echoes. Beneath its golden dome, where laws were forged and revolutions debated, something lingers. Footsteps echo in empty halls, whispers drift through locked rooms, and shadows move where no one should be. This isn't just a seat of power. It's a haunted monument to the past's unfinished business. Let's dive into the chilling stories that make the Maryland State House one of the state's most haunted places. Story 1. The Ghost of Thomas Dents. Thomas Dents, a plasterer who worked on the State House in the 18th century, fell to his death during construction. Some say his spirit never left. Janitors working late report hearing the clatter of tools and soft cursing from the dome's upper reaches where Dents fell. In 1995, a security guard patrolling at midnight saw a man in colonial work clothes standing on a scaffold that didn't exist. The figure looked at him, then plummeted silently through the floor. The guard quit the next day, swearing Dents is still trying to finish his work. Story 2. The Revolutionary Soldiers' March. The State House was a hub during the Revolutionary War, and some believe soldiers from that era still roam its halls. Visitors report hearing the rhythmic tramp of boots in the old Senate chamber, like a ghostly patrol. In 2007, a tour guide closing up heard the sound and felt a sudden chill. She turned to see a faint, uniformed figure with a musket vanish into the wall. Historians say these could be the spirits of soldiers who guarded the building, forever bound to their duty. Story 3. The Weeping Woman of the Staircase. A mysterious female spirit haunts the grand staircase, her sobs echoing in the quiet of night. Legend ties her to a 19th century tragedy, a woman who lost her lover, a legislator, to a duel or scandal. In 2012, a night shift worker heard crying and followed it to the staircase where a woman in a long, old-fashioned dress stood, her face hidden. As he approached, she dissolved into mist, leaving only a faint scent of lavender. Those who've seen her say her grief is so palpable, it lingers like a weight on your chest. Story 4. The Phantom Debate. The old Senate chamber where George Washington resigned his commission is said to replay its past. Late at night, muffled voices, angry, urgent, echo from the room as if a spectral debate rages on. In 1989, a custodian cleaning nearby heard the commotion and peeked inside, seeing shadowy figures in powdered wigs gesturing wildly. The moment he opened the door, the room fell silent and empty. Some believe these are the ghosts of early legislators, trapped in eternal arguments over the nation's fate. Story 5. The Watcher in the Dome. The State House's iconic dome, a marvel of colonial architecture, hides a darker secret. Visitors climbing its narrow stairs report feeling watched, their necks prickling with unease. In 2020, a tourist taking photos inside the dome captured a blurry figure in a tricorn hat staring down from the rafters. No one else was up there. Locals say it's the spirit of an unknown figure, perhaps a Revolutionary-era spy or guard, who keeps vigil over the building, his gaze cold and unyielding. The Maryland State House isn't just a symbol of democracy, it's a vessel for restless spirits who refuse to fade. From craftsmen to soldiers to heartbroken souls, the past clings to these walls, demanding to be heard. If you visit, keep your ears open and your steps quick, because in the State House, history never truly sleeps. 4. Dr. Samuel A. Mudhouse. Dr. Samuel A. Mudhouse, Waldorf, Maryland. A quiet, unassuming farmhouse that hides a dark chapter of American history. In 1865, this was where John Wilkes Booth fled after assassinating President Abraham Lincoln, seeking refuge and medical aid from Dr. Mudd. The doctor's decision to treat Booth's broken leg tied his fate to one of the nation's greatest crimes. But it's not just history that haunts this house. It's the restless spirits born from betrayal, guilt, and violence. Doors creak open on their own, whispers echo in empty rooms, and a heavy dread lingers in the air. This isn't just a home, it's a prison for souls that can't move on. Let's dive into the bone-chilling stories that make the Dr. Samuel A. Mudhouse one of Maryland's most haunted places. Story 1. The Ghost of John Wilkes Booth. Booth, the infamous assassin, spent a fateful night in this house, his legs shattered from his desperate escape. Visitors and staff swear his presence lingers. In 1997, a tour guide locking up heard a man's voice muttering, "They're coming for me," from the upstairs bedroom where Booth hid. When she checked, the room was empty, but a mirror on the wall was cracked, as if struck by an unseen hand. Some say Booth's paranoid spirit is still hiding, forever fleeing justice. Story 2. The Tormented Spirit of Dr. Mudd. Dr. Mudd himself, imprisoned for aiding Booth, is said to haunt his former home, racked by guilt and regret. Nighttime visitors report hearing pacing footsteps and heavy sighs from the parlor where Mudd treated Booth. In 2005, a paranormal investigator captured an EVP, a chilling voice whispering, "I didn't know." The air in the room grew so thick with dread that the team fled. Locals believe Mudd's spirit is trapped, wrestling with the consequences of that fateful night. Story 3. The Crying Child. The Mudd family endured hardship after the assassination, and some say the grief of Mudd's children left a mark. Visitors report hearing a child's sobs coming from the attic, where the family stored personal belongings during their darkest days. In 2013, a guest exploring the house felt a small, cold hand tug at her sleeve in the attic stairwell. She turned to find no one there, but the crying grew louder, then stopped abruptly. Some believe it's the ghost of one of Mudd's children, mourning the family's ruined legacy. Story 4. The Phantom Horseman. Booth arrived at the Mudd house on horseback, and some say the sound of his escape still echoes. Late at night, locals report hearing galloping hooves circling the property, followed by a sharp knock at the door. In 2018, a groundskeeper saw a shadowy rider in a black cloak dismount near the house, only to vanish before reaching the porch. The knocks come in threes, they say, but opening the door reveals nothing but darkness. Some believe it's Booth's spirit, still seeking shelter. Story 5. The Woman in White. A mysterious female figure, dressed in a flowing white gown, has been seen wandering the grounds at dusk. Some tie her to Sarah Frances Mudd, the doctor's wife, who stood by him through his trial. In 2022, a visitor snapped a photo of the garden and later noticed a translucent woman standing by the well, her face etched with sorrow. Those who've seen her say she seems to be searching for something, or someone, lost forever to history's judgment. The Dr. Samuel A. Mudd house isn't just a footnote in the Lincoln assassination. It's a vortex of guilt, fear, and unresolved tragedy. The spirits here don't rest, their stories etched into the walls and floors. If you visit, keep your wits about you, because in this house, the past is still pleading its case. 5. Glendale Hospital. Glendale Hospital, Prince George's County, Maryland. Built in 1934 as a tuberculosis sanatorium, this sprawling 216-acre campus of 23 buildings was a fortress against the White Plague that ravaged Washington, D.C. Designed for sunlight and fresh air, with rooftop gardens and open lawns, it housed hundreds of patients, adults and children, quarantined in despair. Closed in 1981 due to asbestos, its decaying halls now harbor more than dust and graffiti. Whispers, screams, and shadows stalk the corridors, and the air feels thick with suffering. This isn't just an abandoned hospital. It's a haunted relic of pain and death. Let's dive into the terrifying stories that make Glendale Hospital one of Maryland's most haunted places. Story 1. The Screaming Morgue. Deep in the adult hospital's basement lies the morgue, a place so oppressive even seasoned ghost hunters hesitate. Visitors report blood-curdling screams echoing from its rusted doors, as if the dead still protest their fate. In 2012, a YouTube group, Thy Ashes, captured a chilling whisper and heavy breathing in the morgue, clear as day on their recording. One explorer felt an unseen force shove them against the wall, leaving bruises. Locals say the spirits of tuberculosis victims, left to rot in the morgue, are trapped in an eternal cry for release. Story 2. The Phantom Children. The children's ward, with its eerie playground and tiny beds, is a hotspot for heartbreak. Urban explorers report hearing giggles and soft footsteps in the dust-covered halls, only to find no one there. In the 1990s, a group saw a little girl in a hospital gown trailing them, her footsteps leaving tiny prints in the dust. They left toys for her on a return visit, but police stopped them. When they checked later, the toys were gone, replaced by a single faded ribbon. Some believe these are the ghosts of children who died alone, still playing in their prison. Story 3. The Frozen Officer. In the early 2000s, a chilling incident shook even the police who patrol the grounds. A bystander heard gunshots near the hospital and called 911. Officers found a lone cop standing in the adult ward, staring blankly, his gun emptied. He couldn't speak, frozen in terror, unable to explain what he shot at. Rumors spread of a shadowy figure that lunged at him from the dark, vanishing before he could react. Locals warn that something malevolent lurks in Glendale, strong enough to break even the bravest. Story 4, the Goatman's Lair. The woods around Glendale are tied to Maryland's infamous Goatman, a half-man, half-goat creature said to stalk the grounds. Trespassers report hearing unnatural bleats and seeing glowing eyes in the trees. In 2023, a teen exploring the campus claimed a tall, horned figure chased them through the woods, their flashlight dying as it closed in. They escaped, but their jacket was torn as if clawed. While skeptics dismiss the Goatman as legend, the fear it inspires keeps many away from Glendale's shadowed edges. Story 5, the Slamming Door. Capper Hall, one of the main buildings, is notorious for its paranormal activity. In 2023, a group of urban explorers entered and heard a door slam down a silent hallway, despite no wind or movement. One shined a flashlight and saw a shadowy figure dart behind the door, but when they checked, the room was empty. Their camera later showed a faint, distorted face in the frame, staring back. The group fled, vowing never to return. Locals say the spirits of patients, abandoned when the hospital closed, guard their territory with rage. Glendale Hospital isn't just a ruin, it's a tomb the past festers. From screaming morgues to ghostly children and malevolent forces, the campus pulses with dread. Trespassers beware, the police may catch you, but the spirits might not let you go. If you visit, stay on the road, because at Glendale, the dead are still waiting. 6. Lord Baltimore Hotel, Lord Baltimore Hotel, Baltimore, Maryland. Opened in 1928, this 22-story French Renaissance masterpiece was once Maryland's tallest building, a beacon of glamour designed by William Lee Stoddard. But beneath its copper-tarnished roof and opulent ballrooms lies a grim legacy tied to the Great Depression, when despair drove over 20 documented souls to leap from the 19th floor rooftop. Their anguish lingers, joined by whispers of spectral figures and a little girl's cries echoing through the halls. Elevators move uncalled, icy hands brush guests, and an unshakable dread haunts the air. This isn't just a hotel, it's a spectral stage where the past refuses to check out. Let's dive into the chilling stories that make the Lord Baltimore Hotel one of Maryland's most haunted places. Story 1, the Ghost of Molly. The most heart-wrenching tale centers on Molly, a 7-year-old girl whose parents, ruined by the 1929 stock market crash, leapt from the 19th floor, taking her with them, or so the legend goes. Guests and staff report seeing a little girl in a cream-colored dress and black shoes, bouncing a red ball down the 19th floor hallways. In 1998, a staff member named Fran saw her dart past a meeting room, but the corridor was empty when she followed. Housekeepers have quit, spooked by Molly's giggles or her ball rolling on its own. Some hear her sobbing, forever searching for her parents. Story 2, the Dancing Couple. Molly's parents are said to haunt the Versailles ballroom, locked in an eternal waltz. Guests report seeing a formally dressed couple twirling gracefully, only to vanish when approached. In 2016, a bartender noted patrons pointing out outdated figures dancing, who dissolved into thin air. Paranormal investigators claim the speakeasy behind the ballroom, a Prohibition-era hideout, amplifies their presence, as if the couple clings to their last night of joy before their tragic end. Story 3, the Haunted Elevator. The hotel's elevators have a mind of their own, often stopping at the 19th floor unprompted, doors opening to reveal nothing. Guests report feeling icy hands touch their shoulders or necks while riding alone. In 2024, a WJZ reporter documented staff accounts of these eerie rides, with one guest complaining of a heavy presence pinning them in place. The 19th floor, where so many met their end, is considered the hotel's paranormal epicenter, and some staff refuse to work there after dark. Story 4, the persistent handprint. In one of the hotel's penthouse suites, a child-sized handprint defies all attempts to paint or wallpaper over it. Paranormal enthusiasts link it to Molly, or another lost soul from the Depression-era suicides. In 2023, the hotel's sales director, Lee Johnson Lowe, confirmed guest reports of this stubborn mark, noting that mediums describe the hotel as crowded with spirits. Visitors sensitive to the paranormal often wake with nightmares after staying in the room, feeling watched by an unseen child. Story 5, the Suicide's Shadows. Beyond Molly's family, other victims of the Great Depression haunt the hotel. Guests on the 19th floor report hearing anguished cries or seeing shadowy figures pacing the halls. In 1931, a woman named Gertrude Merrican shot herself in a room after a romantic rejection, and some claim her sobs echo near the mezzanine. Another guest, Guy Clifton, jumped from the 12th floor in 1933. Paranormal tours led by Vince Wilson capture EVPs, faint voices pleading, "Help me." Believed to be these lost souls, forever reliving their final moments. The Lord Baltimore Hotel isn't just a historic landmark. It's a vessel for tragedy's restless spirits. From Molly's Red Ball to the Phantom Dancers, an unyielding handprint, the hotel pulses with the pain of those who never left. If you stay here, keep an eye on the elevators and listen for whispers. Because at the Lord Baltimore, the dead are always checking in. 7. Jericho Covered Bridge. Jericho Covered Bridge, Kingsville, Maryland. Built in 1865, this 88-foot wooden relic spans the Little Gunpowder Falls, connecting Harford and Baltimore counties. One of Maryland's last remaining covered bridges, its weathered planks and low-hanging trusses carry a history of trade, travel, and whispered terror. Listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1978, it's been reinforced over time, but no renovation can erase the eerie tales that cling to its timbers. From stalled cars to ghostly figures swinging in the night, this bridge is a magnet for the paranormal. This isn't just a crossing, it's a gateway to the unknown. Let's dive into the chilling stories that make Jericho Covered Bridge one of Maryland's most haunted places. Story 1. The Hanging Shadows. Local legend claims the bridge was a site of lynchings, with tales of runaway slaves or captured Civil War soldiers hung from its rafters. Though built after slavery's end in 1863, the story persists that if you stop your car in the middle of the bridge at night, honk twice, and look in your rearview mirror with brake lights on, you'll see silhouettes of bodies swinging from the beams, dressed in tattered clothes. In 2003, a group of teens tried this ritual and swore they saw 3 figures swaying, their car stalling for minutes before restarting. Skeptics argue the tale lacks evidence, but the image haunts those who dare to look. Story 2. The Girl with the Lantern. A haunting tale tells of a young girl who died in a fiery accident on the bridge. Riding in a farm truck with her father, she carried a lantern to ease her fear of the dark. When the truck turned sharply, the lantern tipped, igniting hay and engulfing her in flames. Visitors report hearing a girl's screams or seeing a flickering light moving across the bridge. In 2012, a camper near Jerusalem Mill Village heard a child's cries for help from the bridge, but found no one. Some say her image is etched into the wood, a ghostly imprint of her final moments. Story 3. The White Lady. A ghostly woman in white, sometimes carrying a basket of flowers, is said to haunt the bridge. One tale links her to a young couple forbidden to marry, meeting in secret at the bridge to elope. Tragedy struck. Some say they were attacked, others that they took their own lives, and her spirit now wanders, pointing and weeping. In 2024, a blogger recounted a friend's tale of seeing a woman in white under moonlight, her figure vanishing as they approached. The bridge's echoing acoustics amplify her cries, chilling those who cross at night. Story 4. The Monkey-like Creature. Beyond human spirits, a bizarre legend speaks of a monkey-like creature with a long tail guarding the bridge. Described as gray with glowing eyes, it's said to scare off unwanted visitors. In 2019, a driver claimed their car stalled on the bridge, and as they waited, they saw a hunched, tailed figure scurry across the rafters, leaving handprints on their dusty hood. Some tie this to Maryland's Goatman myth, but locals insist it's a unique entity, protecting the bridge's secrets with primal ferocity. Story 5. The Red-Eyed Demon. Perhaps the most terrifying tale involves a red-eyed demon lurking beneath the bridge. Said to keep trespassers at bay, its glowing eyes have been spotted by late-night drivers. In 2010, a group of friends exploring the bridge heard guttural growls from the creek below and saw 2 crimson orbs staring up. Their flashlight died, and they fled as something heavy splashed in the water. Paranormal investigators, like 3 Notch Paranormal in 2021, captured SLS footage of a large figure climbing the bridge's interior, waving on command, fueling rumors of a malevolent guardian. Jericho Covered Bridge isn't just a historic landmark, it's a spectral trap where history and horror collide. From swinging shadows to demonic guardians, its stories weave a tapestry of dread. If you cross it at night, keep your windows up and your eyes forward, because at Jericho, something's always waiting in the dark. 8. St. Paul's Cemetery. St. Paul's Cemetery, Chestertown, Maryland. Tucked off Sandy Bottom Road, this ancient graveyard dating back to the 1700s sits beside one of the East Coast's oldest churches, St. Paul's, Kent. Its weathered headstones, shaded by a 400-year-old swamp chestnut oak, mark the resting places of Revolutionary War soldiers, War of 1812 casualties, and even actress Tallulah Bankhead. But this isn't just a postcard-perfect cemetery. It's a paranormal hotspot where the dead refuse to stay silent. Disembodied voices, flickering lanterns, and hostile spirits haunt its grounds, making it one of North America's eeriest burial sites. Let's dive into the chilling stories that make St. Paul's Cemetery one of Maryland's most haunted places. Story 1. The Lantern of Tench Tillman. Tench Tillman, a Revolutionary War officer and aide to George Washington, is said to haunt the bridge at the cemetery's edge. On moonless nights, locals report seeing a ghostly lantern bobbing across the bridge, as if carried by an unseen hand. In 2014, a couple driving past at midnight saw the light and slowed to look, only to hear a man's voice whisper, "Keep moving." No figure was visible, but their car's radio cut to static. Some say Tillman's spirit patrols the bridge, guarding the cemetery's sacred ground. Story 2. Tallulah Bankhead's raspy voice. The grave of actress Tallulah Bankhead, who died in 1968, is a magnet for the supernatural. Visitors claim that pressing an ear to her grave slab reveals her distinctive raspy voice, sometimes speaking, sometimes singing. In 2009, a group of teens left beads in a vodka bottle on her grave as a prank, only to hear a low, throaty laugh as they walked away. When they turned back, the items were scattered across the grass. Paranormal investigators have recorded EVPs of her voice, warning, "Don't linger, darling," as if she's still commanding the stage. Story 3. The Hostile Woman in White. A menacing female spirit dressed in a flowing white gown stalks the cemetery's paths. Some speculate she's the wife of a War of 1812 officer, grieving children lost to disease. Visitors report being pushed or feeling sudden dizziness near her grave. In 2017, a ghost hunter was knocked to the ground near the churchyard's edge, swearing a cold hand shoved her. Others describe cobweb-like sensations on their arms, even in open air, as if she's warning intruders to leave. Her hostility makes her one of the cemetery's most feared presences. Story 4. The Slamming Church Doors. The church beside the cemetery is no stranger to the paranormal. Visitors report the heavy wooden doors slamming open or shut on windless nights. In 2021, a paranormal group recorded a woman's disembodied voice saying, "You're not welcome," followed by footsteps trailing them through the graveyard. One member saw a strange light hovering over a soldier's grave, pulsing like a heartbeat. The church's history, tied to the War of 1812's Battle of Calk's Field, may fuel these restless spirits, forever disturbed by their violent ends. Story 5. The Soldiers' Footsteps. The graves of Union and Confederate soldiers, including those from the nearby Battle of Calk's Field, are said to march again. Nighttime visitors hear heavy boots crunching on gravel, circling the oldest section near the church. In 2018, a local historian felt a hand grip his shoulder while reading headstones, but no one was there. Others report seeing shadowy figures in tattered uniforms, standing silently before fading into the fog. These soldiers, some say, are bound to the cemetery, unable to leave the war behind. St. Paul's Cemetery isn't just a resting place. It's a spectral battlefield where history's ghosts refuse to fade. From Tillman's lantern to Bankhead's voice and the hostile woman in white, the spirits here demand attention. If you visit, respect the graves and keep moving, because at St. Paul's, the dead are always watching. 9. Hager House. Hager House, Hagerstown, Maryland. Built around 1739 by Jonathan Hager, a German immigrant and the founder of Hagerstown. This two-story stone fortress, known as Hager's Fancy, stands as a testament to colonial resilience. Constructed over 2 freshwater springs with 22-inch thick walls, it served as a home, trading post, and frontier fort in the wilds of western Maryland. Hager's tragic death in 1775 crushed by a beam while building a church, left a mark on the house, which stayed in the Rohrer family for nearly 2 centuries before becoming a museum in 1962. But this isn't just a historic site, it's a paranormal epicenter, ranked among Maryland's most haunted. Disembodied voices, moving objects, and ghostly figures haunt its halls, tied to the 13 known deaths within its walls. Let's dive into the chilling stories that make the Hager house one of Maryland's most haunted places. Story 1. The Ghost of Jonathan Hager. Jonathan Hager's restless spirit is said to linger in the house he built. Visitors report hearing a man's voice muttering in German, followed by heavy footsteps in the attic. In 2018, a tour guide felt a sharp poke in the back while showing the kitchen, turning to find no one there. Paranormal teams have captured EVPs of a voice saying, "Mine house," or "my house." Some believe Hager, killed before his dream for Hagerstown was fully realized, refuses to leave his legacy unguarded. Story 2. The Weeping Woman. A female spirit, possibly Elizabeth Kirshner, Hager's wife, haunts the upstairs bedroom. Guests describe hearing soft sobs at dusk, paired with the scent of lavender. In 2020, a visitor saw a woman in a colonial dress standing by the window, her face streaked with tears, before she vanished. The room's temperature plummeted, and a mirror fogged up with no explanation. Locals say Elizabeth mourns her husband's tragic death, forever tied to the home they shared. Story 3. The Mischievous Child. The spirits of children, perhaps Hager's own or later residents, are known for playful pranks. Tour guides report toys moving in the nursery, even when no children are present. In 2016, during a ghost tour, a doll was found on the floor with its head turned backward, though it was secured on a shelf moments before. Visitors hear giggles and feel small tugs on their clothes, but the laughter stops abruptly, leaving an eerie silence. At least 13 people died in the house, some young, fueling these restless spirits. Story 4. The Phantom Blacksmith. The basement, where Hager likely ran a blacksmith shop, is a hotspot for paranormal activity. Visitors hear the clang of metal and smell burning coal, despite no forge being active for centuries. In 2022, a ghost hunter's thermal camera detected a humanoid heat signature near the springs, vanishing seconds later. Some report seeing a shadowy man in a leather apron, hammering silently before dissolving into the stone walls. Locals believe it's Hager, or a worker, still toiling in the cool, spring-fed cellar. Story 5. Catherine Hammond's presence. Catherine Hammond, a Rohrer cousin who lived in the house before the Civil War, is another spectral resident. Known for renting the house to struggling families, her spirit is less welcoming. During October ghost tours, visitors feel a heavy, judgmental gaze in the parlor. In 2019, a guest necklace snapped inexplicably, and a woman's voice whispered, "Not yours." Paranormal investigators link this to Catherine, protective of the house even in death, resenting those who don't belong. The Hager house isn't just a museum. It's a living echo of colonial hardship and tragedy. From Jonathan Hager's stubborn spirit to Catherine's ghostly vigilance, the house holds its dead close, their presence felt in every creak and whisper. If you visit, respect the springs and keep your hands to yourself, because at Hager House, the past doesn't take kindly to intruders. 10. Baltimore County Almshouse. Baltimore County Almshouse, Cockeysville, Maryland. Built in 1872 of local limestone, this looming structure, once called the Upland Home, was a refuge for the county's poor, elderly, sick, and mentally ill. From 1874 to 1958, over 10,000 souls passed through its doors, seeking shelter from poverty, disease, or despair. Housing children without guardians, the disabled, and those labeled insane, it was a place of last resort, plagued by overcrowding and harsh conditions, especially in winter. Fires in the late 19th and early 20th centuries scarred its walls, and its use as a Cold War fallout shelter left eerie relics in the basement. Now home to the Historical Society of Baltimore County, the almshouse echoes with the cries of its past residents. Children's laughter, women's whispers, and something far darker. This isn't just a building, it's a tomb for forgotten souls. Let's dive into the chilling stories that make the Baltimore County Almshouse one of Maryland's most haunted places. Story 1. The Children's Playground. The almshouse once sheltered children whose parents could no longer care for them, and their playful spirits linger. Visitors report hearing giggles and the sound of small objects being tossed on the third floor. In 2015, a historical society volunteer saw a child's face peer around a corner, only to vanish when she approached. Toys left in storage rooms are often found scattered, as if played with overnight. Some believe these are the ghosts of orphans, still seeking the joy they were denied in life, their laughter masking a deeper sadness. Story 2, the ghost of Anthony Rose. In 1909, 75-year-old Anthony Rose, an elderly resident with no family, met a gruesome end when he fell down the almshouse's elevator shaft. His spirit is said to haunt the building, particularly near the elevator. Staff report hearing a man's pain groans or feeling a sudden drop in temperature near the shaft. In 2017, a researcher felt an invisible force push them while passing the elevator, nearly stumbling. Paranormal investigators have captured EVPs of a voice moaning, "I fell," tying Rose's tragic death to the almshouse's restless energy. Story 3, the chattering women. The third floor, once a women's dormitory, hums with spectral voices. Visitors hear faint conversations, like women gossiping, that stop abruptly when approached. In 2013, a tour group recorded what sounded like two women discussing the cold in a locked room. When they entered, the room was empty, but a chair had moved to the center. Some link this to residents like Fannie Williams, a 104-year-old woman who lived there for 41 years, mending clothes and aiding others. Her spirit perhaps still tending to her companion. Story 4, the Pest House Phantom. The nearby pest house, used to isolate residents with contagious diseases like tuberculosis, is a hotspot for dread. Visitors report seeing a gaunt figure in tattered clothes staring from its boarded-up windows. In 2010, a groundskeeper heard coughing and smelled decay near the pest house despite its decades of disuse. Paranormal teams have captured shadowy figures on SLS cameras, pacing the interior. The pest house's grim history, filled with suffering and death, fuels tales of a malevolent spirit guarding its ruins. Story 5, the Cold War Echoes. During the Cold War, the almshouse's basement served as a fallout shelter, stocked with emergency supplies that still remain. Visitors exploring this area report overwhelming feelings of panic and hearing metallic clanks, like someone rummaging through crates. In 2022, a ghost hunter's flashlight died in the basement, and they felt a hand brush their neck, followed by a whisper, "Stay out." Some believe the spirits of residents trapped by the almshouse's grim past resent intrusions into their final refuge, their anger amplified by the shelter's eerie relics. The Baltimore County Almshouse isn't just a historical landmark. It's a vessel for the pain of its forgotten residents. From playful children to tragic figures like Anthony Rose, the spirits here cling to the limestone walls, their stories echoing through time. If you visit, tread respectfully and avoid the elevator, because at the almshouse, the dead still call it home.